traction, number 10 on page number, I think it's 8. So neck traction. So we're going to gently lift Mark's head and then put the pad right here, your massage table. Just make sure, wiggle the head so it's nice and relaxed before you do this movement. If there's any kind of pain at this particular level, you don't want to do any kind of neck traction. So how's that feel, Mark?
Good.
Good. And then I'm going to take my left hand to his left side. Okay? And all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pull back on the base of his head. So where I'm pulling with my fingers, my middle finger is going to go right on the bones here, not into the neck at all, on the bone on the base of his skull. So all I'm going to do is gently put my fingers back there, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to lean back and just kind of curl my fingers just gently, because you don't want to be digging into the base of the neck there. Arms nice and long. How's it feel?
Good.
Good. And just do that right there. Now we have a massage technique that we're going to glide the back of the neck, but that's not what this is. I'm just going to create a little bit of traction with my fingers. It's gentle, nice and easy. Don't try to make them another 6 inches. Is that a visual? Nice and easy, about 2, 3 times, and then move on. So that's the neck traction. So Mark, let's have you get into a sideline position. So let's have you go into your left shoulder. Excellent. So now we've done arm traction, but both arms at the same time. Now we're going to move into single arm. So this stretch is actually quite different than the one where he's face up. And that's what I like to do with my clients is we'll do different types of movements, different planes of motion in exercise and stretching so that gravity acts on the body differently. Your brain picks that up, and so your brain learns different motions and different positions. And so we can use gravity to our advantage in how we move muscles and how we retrain muscles and how we lengthen and strengthen, that type of thing. So I'm checking his shoulder out right now just to make sure, because you don't want to just whip into the position, okay, for arm traction. Just make sure that person can get there safely first, because one day they might not, they might be, and the next day they might not. So just make sure, don't make any assumptions in any one of these stretches. How does that feel so far?
Good.
So I'm just gently bringing him down here. Now if he wants to rotate in, just go with it. Okay? If he doesn't have tightness in here and shortness in his muscles in here, then he can get down to here pretty easy. But he's got some rotating in, so just go with it. In this class, this is what's appropriate. So I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to take his wrist, so his palm is facing towards his face. Ideally, I'd want to have it rotated back. And I'm just going to go ahead and get some nice stretching in there. So my hand is on the front of his wrist. I don't want to have my hand back here. Okay, so the wrist is a little too unstable on this side, plus it's going to put all of his blood flow by pinching his artery and all of his circulatory vessels, capillaries, all into his hand. So we don't want that. So you can see the discoloration here versus when it pushed back here. So now the discoloration, now he's getting more uncolored. How's it feel?
Good. Better this time.
All right. So that is the arm traction. Hip depression. So just like shoulder depression, we kind of pushed to press the shoulders towards the hips. Now we're going to push the hips down towards the knees. So we're going to depress the hip. So this is another type of extension. We want to make the person nice and long, increase posture. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to move his left, if he's on his left side, move his left leg up into his belly. And then right leg down here. Now if he has pain in the knee at this point, you want to, of course, put a pad underneath the knee. Don't make your partner suffer. It doesn't really kind of defeats the purpose. Okay, so then we're going to take on his right side, I'm going to take my right hand because it fits nicely on his hip. Okay, it fits nicely on the shape of his hip anatomically. So if you go this way, it's okay. That's also fine to do it, but it's going to be a little more sharp. So the right hand on the right hip is a little bit better. Now you can take your left hand, like we've done before, place it over, and so you're kind of webbing a V. So you're getting both kind of forces. All right? You just kind of push. See my back left leg? It's nice and straight. Okay, so my foot, I had it at a 45 or so, but right here is probably best. Okay, so facing right down the long axis of his body. Okay, so driving my force right through where I'm pushing. And all I'm doing is I'm moving my weight into it. I'm not pushing with my leg. Okay, something we call ground reaction forces. The more I'm pushing to the floor with my leg, the more the floor is pushing back up to me, lifting me up and actually helping me to drive right through Mark's hip. So I'm doing very little work right now. All right? So for you partners that you do this every day, you're going to want to do it in a more relaxed state. You have to be nice, and your biomechanics have to be very good. Otherwise, you're going to get tired after just a few seconds of doing this. So it can be a lot of work, it can be more fun work. Let's make it more fun. All right, hip depression. Leg traction. So again, we did traction face up, now we're going to do it single leg on the side. Take my right hand and his right leg, and I'm right on the bend of that ankle. And then I'll take my left hand right behind his ankle, but I'm not going to squeeze into his ankle at all. The hand's going to be nice and relaxed. So I've got it back on the Achilles back here, this little tendon. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to lean my body weight nice and long. Feel that tension going. How you doing, Mark?
Good.
So his leg is really nice and even with the hip. Nice and easy. That hurt anything, snap or break yet, so we're doing well. So, but if you feel any kind of movement, see if they are uncomfortable, if they don't feel well from it. So stuff might move and they might not feel good from it. So make sure that your force when you're pulling back is nice and easy. Don't yank back or try to be strong. Use the least amount of effort you can to make them feel good. All right. So now the next one is going to be hip hyperextension. So what we're going to do here is bring the leg here, bring it back. Bring the leg back here, and we're just going to bring it back here. Now, Mark, I want you to go ahead and grab your left knee. It might be a little different than we've done before, but this is where we're going to do it now, okay? So I want you to bring it back here. You're going to check that hip to make sure it doesn't roll back too far forward. You're going to bring it back here. Bring it back. So this right here is that extension. So we're going back a little bit here. We're going to feel for that barrier. Now, I know the other one we had done before, that's also fun, but I think for the females it's a little more difficult. But we'll just review it again. So before, what we had you do is you kind of get your butt up into them like this, ladies, and just kind of lean back like this. And all you did was just bring this leg back here. That has proven to be a little bit difficult, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a nice alternative. Just to kind of, you can also do it this way. Here's, just did it this way, pull them back this way. Mark, how's that feel? You feel a stretch in the thigh?
Yeah, I do.
All right, so that's where he's going to kind of feel it, up into the belly. If you bring it down a little bit, you're going to feel it maybe more in the belly. But that's going to be hard as a practitioner, as a partner, just kind of bringing it down to here. So you can just let his leg drop. See, if I do that, then his knee's going to bend. I don't want to do that. So this is a good stretch, but what you can also do is take your left hand and just push into the side. You see that? Bending at the elbow. And then pull his leg back like this. So as I'm pushing into here, I can just pull this leg back. So whatever kind of works for you, if that feels comfortable to you, then do that. If it doesn't, I'd recommend then just going back and doing this. Okay? And just letting the leg drop and pull. Whatever you're comfortable with. Just make sure your back is nice and straight, your arms are long, it's comfortable for you. You're not doing this. Do this right here. All right. Make sense? You good? So now, everybody's favorite, pec stretch. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this arm here. All I'm going to do here is I'm just going to push the hip away and pull this arm back. That's the light version. Okay, you can do it a little more intensely. Taking his arm here. So you can square up on the table if you want to. Like this. Pull back with this arm. If that's too hard, then get up on the table right here and push this hip, your arm into his right hip, like this. Take your arm, pull like that. Just kind of sink down. Does that feel like a stretch?
It does. Good.
So the flat of my arm is really going through his shoulder into his through his pecs. So I'm just kind of pulling back this way, sinking down with my weight. So that's one way to do it. Take your arm, step away, nice and long, pull this way. But if you're grabbing in here, remember this is kind of an endangered area if you're up in this, part of his clavicle, right below his clavicle. Also in the armpit, underneath here, but so you don't want to be digging in with your hands. Okay, make sure you can get nice soft fingers. Like that. And just kind of pull back like that as you're pushing. Pushing with the right, pulling back with the left. You feel that stretch?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I did hot, you know. There, just like that. So how's that? I think that's probably going to be good. And you can get a little fancier if you want to. Kind of take their arm here. This might work for you as well. And just kind of take it back like that. How does that feel?
Good.
A little deeper?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. So I'm pushing in, just using my body weight, just kind of twisting my upper torso, or my torso, like this. So right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. And breathe. Breathing, Mark?
Yep.
Make sure you're both breathing. Because if I'm doing this, it's not much fun. Relax. Good. All right. All right, let's partner up.